So 2025 is just starting, and many of you are asking for predictions. What's going to happen with employment-based categories? What's going to happen with family-based categories? Visas movement, when are we going to get interviews and things like that? I've done many videos about that. In this video, I want to give you some predictions about movement of numbers, specifically in employment-based and family-based categories. These are my predictions based on research that we've done and cases that we've seen from our clients for the past year or so. So I'll try to kind of condense this. We'll talk about some numbers. We'll talk about movements. So you're going to get an idea as to what's going to happen with some of your visa categories, whether you're going through the immigration process, employment-based or family-based. Again, this is not precise science. This is based on my predictions, based on the research we've done. And I'm passing it back to you, our loyal viewers of our channel. Make sure you watch this video all the way until the end. I'll try to cover as much as I can. These statistics will give you some indication, maybe some hope as to what to expect in the visa movements in 2025. So let's start by looking at 2024. What happened in 24 in family-based categories? We're using about 170,000 visas out of the allocated 220,000 visas. So every year in family-based categories, we have 220,000. In 2024, they use about 170,000 of those, which means they underutilize the number of visas in the family-based categories. That means that substantial number of these unused visas potentially could be transferred to the employment-based categories. And this is going to happen in 2025, as they usually do every year when they have underutilized visas in the family-based categories. This happened in 2024 and also slightly in 2023. It's important to know that because you know that, and I mentioned that in previous videos that we've done specifically on the visa bulletin analysis, that they had underutilized family-based petitions, they had underutilized family-based visas that they couldn't use, and most likely those numbers will overflow to the employment-based categories in 2025. Now we're starting this year. UCIS also released a notice that kind of indicates that we might see some improvement in processing of visas in 2025. They said the following. They said that the employment-based EB annual limit for fiscal year 2025 will be higher than was typical before the pandemic, though lower than in 2021 all the way through 2024. And they're saying again further in that notice, we are dedicated to using as many available employment-based visas as possible in fiscal year 2025, which ends in September 30th, 2025. So again, it gives us some confidence to see that they will be utilizing more and more visas in this year, fiscal year 2025. Now let's go back and understand how the visa bulletin moved in the past year. So from October 2023 to October 2024, the visa bulletin collectively moved 8 months. That's average. So if you think about it, even if it moved the same way in 2025, so let's think about it together. Even if it moved in the same way, which we think it will in 2025, it's still good information. It's still good news for you guys to know that things are moving forward. My prediction that is going to be an average of 10 months movement forward, which is about 2 months more than 2024. Let's look at 2024 again. In 2024, they did use rollover visas from 2023. So 200,000 unused visas. We had 220,000 max. Those extra visas were used in 2024. So this gives us hope that more visas will be rolled over and actually used in 2025. Again, it's not a movement backwards. It's only movement forward of visas being used. Now, again, I'm not getting specifically into visa categories like F2A or F3. I'm talking about the general overall visa bulletin. The average was 8 months movement last year. That trend will continue this year, and I think it's going to get up to 10 months of moving forward. In addition to that, it looks like the UCIS inside the United States used about 160,000 visas. Their limit is 140,000. And what they've done, they've taken extra quotas from the family-based categories. And this is something that they mentioned on their website earlier in the year, which means that they'll continue to try to process more visas from applicants that are applying inside the United States. I personally think that the visa bulletin is going to move faster in 2025. Department of State determined that in 2024, the annual limit for employment-based visas was 160,791 visas. And that was a higher number because of the unused numbers from the family-based category from the previous year. So let's look at it this way. In 2023, 200,000 visas were used, and the leftover 20,000 visas was rolled over for employment-based categories in 2024. So kind of like, I'll give you some numbers and it gives you perspective. In quarter one of 2024, they've had 34,000 visas used. In quarter two, we've seen 31,850 visas used. In quarter three, 45,240 visas. In quarter four, almost 50,000 visas were used. In total, we saw about 161,200 visas used in 2024 alone. And this is all employment based. So for 2024, we had 220,000 visas family based. 58,000 were unused in 2024. And you ask yourselves, why family-based visas were used so poorly in 2024 moving to 2025? And the reason why is because of country backlogs and also backlogs at the specific embassies and consulates for the countries where you're applying for. Remember, applicants are still stuck in backlog. National Visa Center has over 300,000 cases sitting there waiting to be scheduled for interviews. That's the reason why family-based categories suffered so much in 2024 and will continue to do so in 2025. But I do predict a faster movement in that family-based categories. Now, for employment-based categories in 2025, the limits are going to be a little bit higher, specifically before the pandemic. And the State Department said that they are dedicated to using as many available employment-based visas as possible in the fiscal year 2025, which is going to end in September 30th, 2025. So let's look at some statistics. In 2023, adjustment of status and NVC includes spouses and children, 196,000 cases. In 2024, adjustment of status and NVC, including spouses and children, are set at 160,000 cases. And if you ask yourself what that means, it means you can see a trend of still having unused visas on the family base, and these are rolling over to the employment base. So let's talk about some categories that you're probably wondering. F2A category. What's going to happen with this category? Well, with F2A category, we've seen nice movement, an average of general 8 months movement in 2024. You're going to see an increase in movement in this category. And we predict that the wait time for spouses of green card holders is going to decrease in 2025, possibly by 15 to 20% from 2024. It's not going to be a major movement, but it's still going to be a nice movement. On the F3 category, we're going to see a very slight movement in 2024. In the F3 category, we're going to see a very slight movement in 2025. Maybe by 10%. And again, the reason why I'm telling you that is because we're still going to see unused visas in the family-based categories because of the backlog. These backlogs are not going anywhere. They're going to be improved, but they're not going to be significantly different than 2024. And therefore, the analysis that I just told you, the movement, the overall movement of the visa bulletin of 8 months might be about 10 months in 2025. But the biggest changes we're going to see is probably in the F2A category and F3 category as well. F4, unfortunately, is not going to see much movement. If you're waiting for your brothers and sisters to immigrate to the United States, that slow movement we've seen in 24 is going to continue in 2025 because there's just not enough visas to go around. The backlog is still very hard. And I don't see them getting over that in 2025. But we're going to see an impact in the F2A category, maybe some movement in the F2B, but again, nothing more than 10% overall. And again, it is a movement forward, but it's not significant enough to make an impact in the visa bulletin. And while we're analyzing the visa bulletin every single month, the numbers I gave you now to show you that, 56,000 unused visas that are going to be rolling over to the employment-based categories might make an impact on the EB3 category, which might advance by maybe 6 months or more. It's still going to help the backlog, but it's not a significant amount. So that unused visa number that we've seen in 2024 will continue in 2025. Now, is it going to be 50,000? Is it going to be 30,000? I don't know. It's probably going to be somewhere in between. So the bottom line, the conclusion here is 2024 is going to be very similar to 2025 in movement. It is still a movement forward. So if you look at 2023 to 2025, we are moving forward in the visa categories. We are getting better at MVC, people being scheduled for interviews. And I think that trend is going to continue in 2025. You're going to see more and more people scheduled for interviews, and countries like Pakistan, India, Nigeria are going to see less people waiting for interviews compared to 2024. But compared to what is reasonable, we're still going to see backlog. So hopefully this prediction of mine, which is kind of just a lawyer from California who's giving you these predictions, I'm not an authority. I'm just an attorney who's doing research, who is giving you the feedback from what I've seen by analyzing hundreds of visa bulletins over the past 10 years. Take it with a grain of salt. Hopefully, this information is helpful. If you do find it beneficial, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please subscribe. Share this video with somebody who cares. If you need help in 2025 with your immigration matters, send me a text 619-483-4549. I want to talk to you. Or go to www.immigrationsap.com. Leave your details, and one of our team members will contact you ASAP. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.